Hello, Ryan here, and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all of the news from the week just past. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get on with it. This week, Ship Showdown continues on with a freefly now in action. Plus, we hear the great work that the audio team is doing to bring ships to life on a massive scale. So this week's Inside Star Citizen was a part 2 from the audio team, and this time focusing on the work they are doing for ship sounds. Now, the team have been hard at work expanding and improving the new systemic vehicle audio, and starting with Ambience, which is generally just the background sounds of an environment, basically the sounds you hear while the ship is in the idle state, creating the effect that the space you are in is believable from an audible standpoint. Right now in Star Citizen, the audio in ships are all done by hand, which takes a lot of time to hook up, so the team have worked on systems to allow them to have the ship's ambience audio already generated in the ship at runtime. And these sounds will vary between manufacturers, and because it is all now done for them, they can spend more time working on audio that adds character, like thrusters and any moving parts. And I personally think that with the audio that you're about to hear, it really emphasizes how distinctive each manufacturer is and what you would kind of expect from them based on their brand. Now, when it comes to physicalized components, the audio team have decided that these will be the center of attention for the ship ambience rework, which means every single component in your ship will emit sounds that are reactive to what you are doing in your ship and what state the component is in, which will fill the space inside the ship with unique ambient sounds directly from these items, which also means that even if two players have the same ship, if you have different components on board, then your sound experience will be completely different. And so for components, for example, if you switch on your quantum drive, you will hear the quantum fuel traveling through the pipes while the quantum drive spools up, hearing that surge of power before you feel that inertia of the quantum travel. And all of this sound will modulate based on the amount of energy that you're using during your flight. So if you are walking around your ship and the pilot is pushing the ship to its limits, you will hear a lot more drama. You'll hear bursts of ambient sound and things spooling and cooling down. And if you are stood next to the components, then you will hear them emitting the various sounds live. Now this, I feel, will not just add that much needed impressive level of immersion, having sounds not just placed in certain locations to give the impression of something being in that location, but because the sounds are actually connected to the components themselves, this means that each component will have their own distinct sounds, maybe and likely even down to each component manufacturer having different sounds themselves. But also, for the engineer, this will add another level of skill, which means experience and knowledge as an engineer can be gained, being able to identify a component and its potential state or its malfunction literally by ear. I'm sure we all know someone, if it's not yourself, who can tell exactly what is wrong with a car simply by listening to the engine ticking over. And the same will apply to ship engineering. Hearing a particular noise coming from, say, a cooler or any component could indicate what the malfunction is and what needs to be done to fix it, without even needing to run a diagnostics, really expanding the potential for player skill there. Now, on the outside of the ship, thrusters need to convey the propulsion of a ship, and as a passenger, you should be able to know and feel what the ship is doing wherever you are on board. So even if you are in the ship's cargo bay, you can tell which direction you're traveling in, whether your ship is rolling or evading enemies. So for example, if you are in combat, it needs to feel and sound more aggressive inside. Basically giving the impression that the ship has weight and the thrusters are moving it as you would expect it to. And then finally from the audio team, they spoke about impacts on the hulls of the ship, which they are moving to more of a localized descriptive version for impacts, which tells you exactly where you were hit and by what. Also, to what extent you were hit. Did it cause bad damage or just lightly ricochet off? Now, ballistics, laser weapons, with these weapons, it will tell the players where they are getting hit, whereas things like vibrations will give more of an impression as to the stress that is being placed on your ship, giving the players knowledge of what is happening. They also say that ships crashing, particularly into the ground, is not that well supported, so they are working to improve that soundscape as well. And with all of these audio changes, you will be able to tell if your pilot is doing a good job or a bad job just through the audible feedback, wherever you are on the ship. They say the team is working hard to expand the ship audio to that next level and get it to where they want it to be. Now that was actually a great episode of Inside Star Citizen. I am so excited to hear these sounds come in, as they are so important to me personally in creating that realistic and immersive soundscape that can add so much to the overall feeling of being on a ship in any scenario, from combat to exploring a derelict, and to just simply wandering through the ship appreciating the sound of all the mechanics that are going on. They are not just placeholders, they're not just ambient background sounds to give an impression of something happening. They are dynamic and they are systemic based on what is happening to your ship. Not to mention how important the audio will be for conveying a situation, helping the players to react accordingly and quickly to a situation, be that as a pilot in combat knowing what weapon loadout the opposition may have based on the impact sounds, or as an engineer, as I say, identifying a potential problem with the component before it has chance to break on you. Sounds in games are one of the most important aspects for me, and when done wrong, they can really rip you out of the experience instantly, but when they're done right, they can set the tone of any situation. So let us hope that this audio is coming to the game soon, as I would love to experience this in the PU. But that was Inside Star Citizen, let us move on. So also this week, we had a new Galactopedia update, further fleshing out the lore of the verse, and one day this Galactopedia will be in the Mobi-Glass in-game so that we can read all of these entries while flying around. Ship Showdown has now reached the Elite 8, meaning all of the 8 ships that were chosen by us through the means of a voting head-to-head, and now until September 7th, Star Citizen is free to play and also grants those who take part access to these Elite 8 ships. So if you have been on the fence wanting to try out Star Citizen but not wanting to commit to paying for it just yet, all you have to do is create an account and download the launcher and then the game, and you can try it for free up until the 7th. Now if you do have a friend or know someone who is already a citizen, ask them for their referral code so that you get some extra credits and they get a referral, or by all means use the code in the top left of the screen. There are also discounted starter packages available until the 8th of September, so if you do feel like taking part in Star Citizen's Alpha, you can get in a little cheaper than normal, but it is certainly not for everyone. So that brings us to the end of the show. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, I am able to do this thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. If you appreciate what I do and would like to help make it even better from as little as $1 a month, all of the links are provided below.